Okay, I'm going to kick off our session now then. Thanks everyone for joining the webinar today. The session is focused on bridging the career gap in the water and environment sector. And we are delighted to have three experts from the sector joining us today to give us their insights on roles and careers in the sector, as well as topics that are likely to be growing in the foreseeable future, I suppose. So the key issues and topics that we'd expect to have an interest and be part of the kind of problem solving going forward. So today the session is broken into a number of sections. So our three expert speakers will be speaking for about 10 minutes each about their own experience and their own topic. And then following those three presentations, we have an interactive Q&A session, and that's where we want you, the participants, to please enter any questions you have into the Q&A field, because this is a major part of our webinar today, is to get questions and input from participants that we can then address during the webinar. So that's the format for today. My colleague Dave Ludgate, who's a committee member, will be chairing the Q&A session, and also on the panel we have Josh Kokara, who was instrumental in setting up this session as he recognised the need for greater connections between established professionals and engineers and scientists and people who are starting out in their careers. So Josh is also with us today. So in terms of our expert speakers, we have Fiona Regan, who's the full professor in chemistry at the School of Chemical Sciences in Dublin City University and director of the DCU Water Institute. Fiona's research focuses on analytical chemistry in the field of environmental monitoring, and she has a special interest in priority and emerging contaminants, as well as the establishment of decision support tools for environmental monitoring using novel technologies and data management tools. Fiona was the Beaufort Principal Investigator in Sensors and Communications Technology, and she is now the chairperson of Water for All EU Partnership and the current chairperson of the Royal Irish Academy Climate Change and Environmental Sciences Committee. So Fiona will be speaking to us first today. Following Fiona's talk, Robert Kearney, who works with Glanua, will be giving his slide presentation. Rob has a BSc in Environmental Science from University College Cork, and he went on to do a Master's in Applied Environmental Science, followed by extra credentials in project management. So Robert joined Glanua in 2015 in a process engineering role, and he has held a wide range of project management and contract management positions, progressing to the framework manager of ECI Lot 1A in 2023. So Rob's role is as the key client of Uisce Eireann's early contractor involvement scheme. So there's our two speakers. Then we have Kevin Murray, who is the technical and metering manager at Uisce Eireann. Kevin has extensive experience in consultancy, followed by a long stint with Uisce Eireann. And Kevin will go into further details on his career path actually in his presentation, because he wants to demonstrate different pathways along the lines also of his own approach, which includes involvement in a number of standards committees and so on. So I'll allow Kevin to give you a bit more detail on his career path. So without further ado, I'd like to now hand over to Fiona Regan, who is going to speak to us on the topic of climate change and related technologies and developments and career pathways. Thanks, Fiona.
Thank you, introduction, and delighted to be in today's meeting. I'm, I suppose, speaking from an expert side on the research side. It's across many disciplines, and it's really important, I suppose, to emphasize the major gap, which is engineering skills coming back into the research field. And I'll just show you where maybe could appear for research for people in their career journey. So I'm going to talk about I suppose, the impacts that we're seeing in relation to climate and water, and how we look at integrating new environmental monitoring methods for water management. And throughout this, I'll look at challenges which we're all very aware of, look at decision support tools and systems, and see where new tools then for monitoring could fit into those potentially. So our key challenges from my perspective in the Water Institute and from a research perspective relate to a changing environment because of climate change and other aspects relating to water quantity, so flooding and scarcity, water quality, impacts relating to biodiversity, water and health, new solutions which need collaboration, and a diversity of skills that are required. And so therefore, I would see research as being a really important part of that solution. So some of the challenges that we see in relation to this include our water quality, which is impacted by pollution events, but can be exacerbated through climate change. So we know about fish kills, we're seeing those in the media quite frequently. And also there are many stories, this is quite an old one, but many stories about lake pollution. We're very familiar of more recent ones in Ireland in the last year. Sewage pump failure leading to beach closures, so beach pollution and flooding, of course. And we're seeing a lot in recent times. And I suppose what we're interested in my research is to look at how we can integrate technologies to be able to generate better data to provide better information for decision support. And I would advocate that there's already a lot of data available arising from different types of sensing technologies. And they can be satellite-based technologies, aerial technologies, drone-based airborne technologies, but also then in situ and autonomous vehicle-based technologies. The whole range of technologies are already available. And what we need to be doing is integrating these more, and we're seeing that. So involve, the data, historical data that's available, our geological information systems that are available, and then integrating in situ sensor data in the second tier, our airborne and satellite imaging, and of course modeling on top of that. So if you look at this, you can see the range of skills that are needed for each of these tiers. You have data analytics specialists, you have engineering specialists, you have computing capabilities, you've got device development specialists, and so on. So it's really a multidisciplinary area. So in terms of all of this, why do you do it? It's not for fun, really. It's more to provide better information. And so we try to develop tools that lead to better decision. So decision support tools, essentially. And so we're looking at creating information, data, knowledge that is based on, let's say, observations, improving our understanding and knowledge to be able to make better predictions and then recommendations and so on to decisions. And so each of these would have different levels of value, obviously, in terms of our water management. Currently, just picking at water quality, if we look at the legislation, really what we're doing is limited monitoring in terms of certain parameters led by legislation, the Water Framework Directive, very much parameter dependent. And a key part of this is that we're really not looking at this with any great frequency. And so I would be advocating for much more towards real-time monitoring. And I'll show you just some examples. And I suppose one thing I would urge as well is that we're not always looking for the absolute best technologies. So in other words, that we recognize a lack of certainty, but that we should still use technology so that we can actually improve the information that we're getting. So not to wait for the absolute best technology, because otherwise we'll never get making. So just to point out, I suppose, in relation to sensors and sensor networks, I just pulled this diagram really to show you how, you can have lots of different nodes, connecting them up to provide information around a water body or water quality. And this can be done using various different types of sensors, locations, as I pointed out, in situ, movable sensors. But the idea really would be to design systems that can collect data in real time, or what we say near real time. So giving us really up-to-date information, and then using data analytics to generate better kind of management strategies. Here's an example of some data that we collected monitoring in Poolbeg Marina. And we were able to monitor trends. These highlighted ones here, the first three are just indicating a boat coming in, doing a turnabout, turbidity increasing. And the further one over to the right indicates that turnabout as well, but also associated with that is some additional turbidity. And that then, looking at it in more detail, we're able to see increasing chlorophyll. So it's telling us that there's an algal bloom event happening. So we can build in quite simple algorithms to be able to show some improved information by making this real-time data available. So we have rainfall up here on the top, we have temperature, turbidity, conductivity, and so on in the middle. And then that can, when we analyze that data, we can provide better information. We looked at this in a lot more detail. Again, this is in Poolbeg, where we have ships coming in and out, and that's very, very valuable because they're on a timetable, so you can really pinpoint different events. And so taking that information, we then went and gathered samples for E. coli. And so you're able to pick the best time to collect a sample. If you pick a sample out here, you're going to get much less E. coli, whereas if you pick where the actual turbidity is highest, you're getting the highest value. And if you link that then with what we call enterococci, which is also measured bacterium, you can see that that is as well high associated with that event. So what I'm saying here is to use almost surrogate turbidity data to inform better bacterial monitoring. Just very quickly to show you how important it is that we have engineers within the research structure. Here we have a project that was developing a marine sensor in collaboration with TechWorks Marine, funded by Enterprise Ireland, but we had chemists working with engineers and physicists to develop an optical sensor. And we developed different designs of the sensor, and we tested it at various stages, and we had our final system, which we tested in around Dublin Bay. But what was really critical here is that we had a mechanical and electronic engineering skills involved in the project design. So engineering in terms of sensor development is really critical in collaboration with the expertise in optics and in biochemistry and chemistry. And this sensor was then deployed in Sligo in this case, but also in Dublin Bay, as I said. So a deployment is so important, and I'll just emphasize that at the end. Your infrastructure is important. So again, you need that capability, a variety of different capabilities. Here is another PhD student of mine, Brendan Heary, who was usually deploying sensors on marine buoys. So you need a lot of different skills and capabilities within a water management project if you want to do good quality research. So in conclusion, then, I suppose my main point is, from our perspective, is to take our developments within the laboratory into the field. And for that, you need to have complementarity of skills. You need multidisciplinary researchers working together, and engineering is a really important part of this. Not just from the perspective of building stuff, but from the whole design process right through to deployment and then redesign, because it's quite a long process taking something from the lab to the field. It's multimodal. It's not just in terms of the system design, it's also data analytics, it's also field work, it's environmental analysis, it's understanding of the ecosystems. And what we're really interested in is providing data to have better information for users. So I hope that's helpful. That's very much a short whistle-stop tour, but please do come and ask questions. There's lots of other examples of sensor technologies, but what I would say is multidisciplinary teams are the answer to taking sensor technologies from the laboratory to the field for any aspects of climate and water research. Thank you.
Thanks, Fiona, and thanks, Sheila, and everybody for inviting me here today. My name is Robert Kearney. I work for a company called Glanua. As introduced previously, I'm a framework manager with Glanua, so I would have joined in 2015, and we are a main DBO, design, build, operate contractor working across the water and wastewater industry, both in Ireland and the UK. So what I want to do here today is just firstly is talk to you about the importance of water and wastewater treatment and how a career within it is both rewarding and in particular very valuable to both the country and the wider environment. And on from there, give you some of the industry responses to sustainability and net zero carbon and the challenges that we face across the industry because of these. I'll give you a brief outline into Glanua's role in the water and wastewater industry, the importance of water, the impact to the municipal, industrial and pharma sectors, and the industry challenges and opportunities, and again, working towards just a sustainable future and some ideas and innovations that are happening in regards to that. So a little bit about Glanua. We're an award-winning company for our engineering innovations and technologies. We've offices in Ireland and the UK. We've over 400 employees, over 65 international clients, 150 plus million revenue every year, and we're part of a larger group, the Glanua Group, which consists of Glanua Ireland, Glanua UK, Glanua Industrial, and Glanua Civils. So we're an industry leader in providing innovative and sustainable engineering solutions to the design, build, operate, and maintenance of water and wastewater infrastructure. I suppose some of our clients across the municipal sector include Uisce in Ireland, which are the main water and wastewater utility in Ireland, Thames Water, Affinity Water, Yorkshire Water, and Northern Ireland Water in the UK. And then we have a strong presence in the industrial and pharmaceutical sector, which is water and wastewater treatment is a key component of that. So some of our clients would include ABB Meats, MSD, Uisce Biologics, Dawn Meats, Glanbia, all again large companies across the private sector. So a little bit about the importance of water. First off, it's public health. Everybody has to drink it to survive. It needs to be clean. It needs to be safe. Everybody has a human right to water and sanitation. Safe and readily available water is important for both public health, whether it's used for drinking, domestic use, food production, or recreational purposes. Improved water supply, sanitation, and better management of water resources can boost the country's economic growth and reduce poverty. And in 2010, the UN General Assembly explicitly recognised that the human right to water and sanitation. So everybody has the sufficient and continuous use of acceptable and accessible water for personal and domestic use. Some common misconceptions, in particular in Ireland, are it's always raining. We've loads of water. It's not the case. Sometimes rain and climate change and pollution bring on more challenges to treat water, particularly from a process point of view. Every water source is different, whether it's a lake, river, or an aquifer, and every water treatment plant and process is designed and constructed specific to each type of water source. So just because it rains in Ireland doesn't mean that obviously we've loads of water. We actually don't. And in the greater Dublin area at the moment, as I'm sure everybody has seen on the news, there's a lot of constraints on the water supply due to a lot of different issues, but population growth, aging infrastructure would be a huge contributing factors. Again, with waste, we think in Ireland we've beautiful beaches, they must be safe. This is a lovely Port New in Donegal. Again, There's a large amount of agglomeration still putting untreated waste directly into our seas. We're working with Irish Water a lot to try and reduce that and bring upon safe and clean wastewater solutions to try and improve our beaches and our environment. The impact to the municipal, industrial and pharma sectors. So water plays a critical role in the industrial and the pharmaceutical sector. Some pharmaceutical plants, for example, require ultra-pure water. And for example, Intel uses 10 million cubic meters of water each year from the River Liffey, and it's returned via the wastewater treatment plant. So that's a major infrastructural piece of a company that requires water ready, available, clean, safe, and puts a lot of stress on public water supplies supplying into the greater Dublin region because of that. But it's a critical piece of infrastructure. And on the municipal side, 82% of people in Ireland get their drinking water from Uisce Eireann, and Uisce Eireann also provides about 66% of households with wastewater services. The rest would be, in terms of wastewater, would be septic tank use, and in terms of water would be private wells and maybe group water schemes. This is just some photos of some upgrades that we would have done on behalf of Uisce Eireann across Ireland. This is a wastewater plant, brand new, greenfield in the south of Ireland. So traditionally, this would have been a very primitive piece of infrastructure, and as you can see now, it's really state of the art, constructed in a fast time frame, within budget for really make a huge difference to a local community. This is a water treatment plant in Dublin, supplying a large portion of water into the Dublin supply scheme. So this building itself would have been constructed under an emergency upgrade in a response to treat protozoal compliance on the GDA supply scheme. So it would have been a cofferdam solution, built and all constructed where we can off-site and dropped in to try and limit any adverse effects to the supply scheme. The next photo you'll see is of it inside. So these are two UV reactors on 1400 diameter stainless steel pipework tied into the reservoirs either side. So a very challenging piece of design, very challenging piece of construction that was all completed, designed, built, and in time by Glanua for Uisce Eireann. So projects like this are extremely challenging and require a large amount of multidisciplinary inputs, both from electrical, mechanical, civil, structural, process, quantity surveying, construction management. Everybody comes together in the water industry to deliver projects like this, and it's one industry, I suppose, that will give engineers exposure to all the different disciplines. Whether you might have your speciality, it might be mechanical, it might be civil. The water industry does provide a good holistic view of everything, because everything is required in order to deliver such assets like this. So some of the industry challenges and opportunities. What are the challenges? Aging water and wastewater infrastructure, lack of investment, greater infrastructure population growth. So there's no cranes without drains, as they say. Pollution and climate change, and various trade union, engineering and resource shortages. So we're really at a shortage of key skills in the water and wastewater industry. There's a massive opportunity for people to get involved, carve out a career in it. Everybody needs water. In my next slide here, I talk about the opportunities in it. It's challenging. If you like challenges, if you want to work in a fast-paced, challenging environment, it offers job security. Everybody has to drink water. Waste has to be treated. It's multidisciplinary, as I previously covered. It's innovative. And at the end of the day, you are providing a societal contribution. We all drink water. We all generate waste that needs to be treated. So you're adding value to that by getting involved in the industry. A big shift in every part of engineering and science is working towards a sustainable future. The water and wastewater industry is no different. There is sustainability strategies and targets. So the strategy on behalf of Glanua and Uisce Eireann is to ensure services are delivered in a sustainable manner which contributes to the protection of the environment. There's certain targets we have to adhere to: net zero carbon by 2040, net positive biodiversity by 2030, and zero recoverable waste to landfill by 2030. They're very challenging. They require innovative technologies and techniques in order to ensure that they are delivered. So net zero carbon, there's two types of carbon: embodied carbon and operational carbon. 2023 was the warmest year since global records began. 10 warmest years in the historical record have all occurred in the past decade, which is scary. 37% of Ireland's carbon emissions come from construction and the built environment, and 1/3 of this is embodied carbon. Some sustainability initiatives that we see across the water and wastewater industry. As you can see here, some solar panels on the roof of a water treatment plant, hydroelectric turbines to generate electricity, sludge drying reed beds, integrated construction wetlands, and then efficient motor selection, variable speed drives, and to reduce the overall OPEX and energy outputs of water and wastewater treatment plants. There's also simple sustainability initiatives. I'm sure some people might have them at home in their gardens, but water treatment plants and wastewater treatment plants are no different. It includes simple steps like hedgerows, supporting reduced weeding, wildfire meadows, etc. They all add value, and they all add to the reducing carbon. Within the industry, we're trying to move towards how we better quantify carbon in order to reduce it, because you can't reduce it unless you can actually know how much of it you're generating. So we are in partnership with the Irish Green Building Council at the moment, trying to better understand how we can, in our early concept design stage, how we can implement design methods to try and understand carbon better and try and offset it. So, for example, in a water treatment plant that we're currently about to construct in the southern part of Ireland, we looked at in situ concrete structures versus precast structures, and obviously precast have come out a little bit better. So this is what we're trying to move towards, and we're trying to utilize BIM, so building information modeling, to better understand this. So what is BIM? BIM is a digital approach to project delivery that creates a collaborative and dynamic representation of a facility's physical and functional attributes. So what are the benefits of it? Efficient project management, 3D modeling to allow realistic project visualization, data-driven decision-making, and sustainability focus on material optimization, and of course, cost control. This is just an example of another water treatment plant where you can see the model versus the actual solution. So it's really interesting to design things and then go ahead and construct them. And getting involved in a company like Glanua, that's what we can offer, and that's what makes it so interesting. Obviously, modular design and DFMA, we try and do as much offsite as we can to reduce waste, decrease carbon footprint, health and safety improvements, quick turnaround, and cost savings. So this is a temporary package plant that would be installed on one of our sites to try and better treat a supply in an emergency scenario. So finally, we're always on the outlook for recruits, both civil and structural engineering, mechanical, electrical, instrumentation and control, process engineering, automation. Again, it's an excellent industry to work in, very challenging. No day is different. And me, for one, speaking, somebody who's been involved in it for nearly 10 years, I love it. I love the opportunities it's afforded me, and I'm sure I can do the same for anybody looking to get into it. So thank you for your time today. And yeah, any questions, just pop them into the chat. Thanks very much.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Murray, and I just want to share my screen there. Okay, I hope you can see the screen. And so, good afternoon. Thank you to the Water and Environment Society and Engineers Ireland for the opportunity to participate in the event today. And thank you to everybody who has joined the call. And I hope you get some value from the event. And certainly I've got a lot of value from the first two great speakers that we've had. So I'm going to take a slightly different approach here, because the purpose of my talk is to draw on some examples from my career to illustrate opportunities for building a career in the water sector. And there are many ways to make a contribution to the profession and to society. And believe me, you always get back more than you invest. So I don't regard my career as being anything special. Rather, just please take it as an example of how our industry and our society provides many opportunities to build your career. And so I want to talk today about career building opportunities across multiple groups and communities. And I hope that one or two of you will find that some of these might align with your own interests. And if they do, then please know that I and many others are available to talk to you about the opportunities to get involved in groups like these and build bridges to these opportunities. So if there is something in the next few minutes that sounds interesting to you, please follow up with me and I will try to help. So first, some context. I qualified as a civil engineer from UCC in 1986. And like most of my class, traveled to London for work in 1988, having completed a master's degree. Having worked in structural engineering in London and Wales for 8 years, I returned to work in Cork in 1998 as a chartered structural engineer. And I worked with a firm of consulting engineers for several years, where the focus of my work began to change from building and bridge structures into water services. And then in 2011, I became involved in the submission by Bord Gáis Éireann to establish Irish Water, now Uisce Éireann, and later worked on the domestic metering program as the metering technical lead. Today, I'm working in the asset management team in Uisce Éireann as the metering and conservation technical manager, and I'm very honoured to be a fellow of Engineers Ireland. So in many respects, there have been many lucky events that advanced my career, and there have been times where the work suited me. But perhaps the greatest impact of my career came from repeatedly saying yes when my gut instinct as an introvert told me not to get involved in committees, societies, and working groups. And I just threw the dice on the table and went for it. So the picture might be a late stage baby boomer and a respected gentleman of the institution, but the reality has often been more like the prairie dog on the lookout for the early signs of how the world is changing and where you get involved to make a difference. And please remember, do not fall victim to imposter syndrome. Everybody is important and everybody has a contribution that will be welcomed in some quarter. So let's talk about some of the opportunities that I've been familiar with and where I have gained so much, and where better to start than Engineers Ireland and the other professional institutions. Regional and sectoral committees give great opportunities to learn how to manage meetings and organise events. And we were fortunate to host the annual conference of Engineers Ireland during my term as the chairperson of Cork Region. And I can assure you that the Water and Environmental Society, under the brilliant chairpersonship of Sheila Convery, has always been looking for more volunteers to join the committee and help to arrange events. Events like today could not happen without committed volunteers to make these happen. Can I just turn then to the bottom of the page there, business groups. So business groups such as the Chambers of Commerce are always interested in people with engineering and technical experience to provide insight to the submissions that they need to make on national policy and to represent business groups in cross-industry forums. I can't remember if I volunteered or was volunteered for a role on Cork Chambers Transport and Infrastructure Committee, and then very soon was contributing to policy submissions on major infrastructure projects. And it's been wonderful to see some of those projects go through all the phases now to construction. But that came from the early lobbying by those business groups, informed by engineers and others who were volunteering their time. And it was through Chambers Ireland that I had the opportunity to visit the European Parliament and Áras an Uachtaráin and present at Oireachtas committees. So the next area that I want to mention is the realm of international standards, which Sheila mentioned at the outset. And you should be aware that Engineers Ireland allows CPD points for work that members do in the work of the NSAI, the National Standards Authority of Ireland, in developing standards. NSAI and CEN, the European Standards Agency, are always looking for engineers with both specialist knowledge and with broad sectoral knowledge to sit on the technical committees and the working groups, some to develop standards, other to mirror what's happening at the international level and provide comment on the standards that others are developing. And through my involvement with CEN Technical Committee TC92, which deals with water meters, I have been very fortunate to make many great friends across the European water industry. And all of that grew from a simple request to comment on a draft European standard. Again, I can tell you from first-hand experience, if you're interested in the work of standards, NSAI would welcome you showing an interest. And Engineers Ireland will reward you through the CPD process. Can I then turn to some of the affiliations of Uisce Eireann? So Uisce Eireann, as a national water utility, is affiliated with a number of industry research and representative groups, which provide opportunities for employees of Uisce Eireann and employees of other water companies to participate in cross-industry research. So for example, UCWIR, the UK Water Industry Research, has an ambitious program to address the big questions for 2050, such as how to have abstractions, how to achieve zero leakage. And Uisce Eireann participates in several of these research projects with nominees appointed to the project steering groups. Great opportunities for our younger members of staff to get more familiar with these topics and very quickly grow into being experts in their own right. Similarly, Water UK would have several networks with subject matter experts on leakage, water efficiency and metering. And indeed, yesterday I was sitting in on the Water UK revenue metering network, where colleagues from across water companies in the UK were talking about recent experience with smart metering technologies. So Uisce Eireann is also an associate supporter of WaterWise, which is the UK-based NGO that lobbies for water efficiency. And participation in WaterWise is open to any organisation in the water sector and provides a great opportunity to share knowledge and learn from exemplar projects that are happening right across the water sector, across all types of communities. So we're now down into the 7th of the 8 sections in this, and this is the piece about the conference sector. So many years ago, I wrote an article for the Engineers Journal, which was innocently entitled, "Please Let Me Pay for Water." And that was picked up and published by the Irish Examiner. And that led to being invited to speak at conferences. And again, I overcame the introverted gene and agreed to speak at the conferences. And I did so learning that the turkey never pays for dinner, and you get free entry to some very good conferences if you're willing to be the talkative turkey. So never discount the possibility of presenting at conferences or presenting at Engineers Ireland evening lectures. You will always make new connections and you will always get a lot of value out of those. So again, I would encourage participating in conferences. And I thought I should probably bring this little ramble back to my present role in Uisce Eireann, where I work in the fields of metering technology and water conservation. And the metering technology was built on our domestic metering program, where we introduced what was quite novel at the time, a drive-by metering solution, which is used to this day to gather leak alarms from tens of thousands of properties every year, which feeds into our First Fix Free program to repair customer side leaks with a significant impact on water conservation. And we continue to explore developments in smart networks. Water conservation is a key pillar of our National Water Resources Plan, and we're currently developing more strategies to inform our water conservation planning. Metering technology then is a key enabler to water conservation and leakage management. And as Europe grapples with the challenge of climate change, we must anticipate increased demand for people with the technical skills to address water scarcity and resilience. Uisce Eireann is a CPD accredited employer in the scheme run by Engineers Ireland. I'm fortunate to sit on our CPD committee within Uisce Eireann, where we're committed to mentoring our colleagues to achieve the registered titles of Chartered Engineer and Fellow of the institution. Our Learning Pathways in Uisce Eireann is a self-directed learning framework initiative that provides our employees the means to direct and manage their own development. And Uisce Eireann has recently announced that we have hundreds of posts to fill, so please keep an eye on our website and consider us in your future career plans. And it is heartening to know that how the industry in Ireland has developed over the last 15 years since the introduction of Uisce Eireann, because back in the noughties, the way the industry was set up in Ireland, it did not provide job security to the supply chain, to the contractors and the consultants. And it's wonderful to hear someone like Rob speak with such confidence about the future, because now with Uisce Eireann in place and with the funding secure, it secures the job environment and the job security of young engineers well into the future. In closing, please reach out to experienced engineers for help to find bridges to build your career. We might have some of the most unexpected connections that can provide a pathway to your career development. And can I, in closing, take the opportunity to thank Sheila Convery for serving as the chairperson on the Water and Environment Society for the last 2 years, as her term will come to an end at our AGM next month. So I am happy to answer questions as part of the panel, and I'll stop sharing there and hopefully return to Dave for the questions and answers.